I usually don't talk about relationships, but I'm gonna talk about this particular relationship. And I hear people talk about their little skits and their dramas and drama relationships and stuff, and they do haven't been there, done that. So nothing to brag about, but it just happened. So and it used to be for the most part. I don't be really looking for no relationship. It just happened. It was just happen. So, not saying that I was all that and everything. I just had that magnetic attraction that could attract men. So, so, and you know how some people say, well, don't meet no guy in the club. Meet him in church. Well, a man is a man. So whether you meet him in church or meet him, just in passing or whatever, a man is a man. You just gotta weed out the good and the bad. Weed out the bad and understand what is good and keep the good. But anyway, so I was in my mid to late 20s, mid to late 20s, between 25 and 27, I say that. And so I was in church, and I would either be singing in the choir on a Sunday or ushering on a Sunday. So I think that particular Sunday I was ushering. I was standing at the door that you come in at, the entrance door. So I was ushering that Sunday, and these three gentlemen came in. It was a older guy with two younger guys, which was the father and his two adult sons. And so they was coming in, and they came in all dressed up, looking sharp, all debonair looking, they just stood out, they made an entrance when they came in. So they came in and sat down. And so after service was over, I'm dressed up anyway. I had on my white blouse and my black skirt with my black embroidered design stockings and everything, my heels on. So one of the sons approached me, and he said, "Hi, how you doing?" I said, "I'm good." And he introduced himself to me and everything like that. And he said, "Oh, well, I'm interested in you, and I would like to talk to you. I would like to take you out on a date." And I said, "Well, I'm not interested." I said, "Because I have someone. I got a boyfriend, so I'm not interested." And he said, "Well, take my number anyway." And I said, "I'm not interested," like that. And so I went on. I usually work on Sundays, and I work from Sunday to Thursday. So I usually work on Sundays. So right after I went home, got out of church, I would have to go home and change and go to work, head on to work. And so I'm trying to think if I had to work on that particular Sunday. I don't know if I was out, but I was working every Sunday. So but anyway, I went home. And so my boyfriend was there. And so when I got back home, so I was getting ready to go change or whatever. And next thing I know, I hear a knock at the door. So my boyfriend opens the door, and he said, "Ella, somebody out here, this guy out here asking for you." I said, "Who is it?" And so I said, "What they coming to me for?" And so I looked, it was the guy. And I didn't live too far from where I go to church at. So the guy come knocking on my door, asking for me. He's so crazy. I said, "Boy, what you doing here? How you find out where I stay?" And so my boyfriend told me, "Who is that?" I said, "I don't know him. I just met him. He was trying to talk to me as well." And so my boyfriend go down. I said, "Don't you come out here?" So he going back to his car. And so my my boyfriend go down the steps. I said, "Boy, don't you go down there and confront him like that." He go down the steps. "What you doing talking to her? Why you talking to her?" Nah, nah, nah. And I was like, "Boy, if you don't get back up here." And so I told the guy, "Don't you ever come out here again like that." So me and my boyfriend, we was having problems because had a situation going on. And so we were like, just on bad terms. But his family was trying to get me to stay with him and all that stuff and stay together and all that stuff. And his aunt was an evangelist and all of that, and we went to her day church and everything. So they was really trying to get me to stick it out with him, but it just wasn't lasting. So anyway, something happened, and he ended up leaving, going out of town to his I think his aunt's house. So so anyway, he left, and so the guy from the church, he came back to my place and he was knocking on my door. I said, I told you I was in a relationship. What do you want? Why are you coming to me? I said, why are you ain't called me, you ain't called me. I said, I'm not trying to call you. I'm not interested in you like that. And so he kept being persistent, and I don't know what all happened. But we end up talking. He was being nice. He said, I'll take you where you need to go. I do this, and I had a car because I was like going back and forth to work. And so I had a car at the time, I think. Yeah. So anyway, I was trying to get to work and everything. And so he said, well, I want to take you out and everything like that. So he just kept being persistent, and I finally just gave on into him, see what this guy was about. And so he would say, he tried to teach me how to drive his stick shift car, straight shift car. I said, I don't know how to drive no straight shift. So he would say, I'll teach you. So he took me like on a Sunday evening at the church. He took me how to drive his straight shift and everything like that. And one time he let me keep his car. He said, I just take me to work. He was showing me how to drive. And I said, I ain't good with, like trying to level it off, especially going up on the hill and stuff. He said, you got it. He said, you don't went with me enough, so he let me drive his car. And so he wanted me to take him to work, and he let me keep his car while he was at work and told me to come back and pick him up. And so he just kept being persistent and everything like that. And so he said, he knew I could cook. So he said, why don't you fix me some lasagna? And I was like, he said, that's my favorite thing. He said, I said, well, I'll probably fix the pan like that soon, like that. And I think he brought the ingredients and everything, so I fixed him up some lasagna. And after fixing some lasagna and everything, he was like, I gave him like about a half of a pan full, wrapped it up, and he had tried some, and he was like, oh, this good. Next thing I know, honey, he was trying to propose to me. Not trying to propose, he did propose to me. He did propose to me real quick. And I was like, I don't know. I said, I don't know about all this. And so I said, so I met his mom, and she was the main part of us not being together to this day. I met his mom, his sisters, and like that. And so that's basically it. So we end up getting married and like that. So it was a twist of events. Wasn't supposed to happen. I probably should have listened to a few people, but I was the one. I had to go through that process for myself. But I think we would have lasted. But his mom was so very controlling in our relationship, and very controlling of him. And so he didn't know how to stand up against his mom and say, I'm in a relationship, and where she needed to back off, so, but she was in a relationship, so I don't know why she didn't like me. I knew it, and she was just trying to do all kind of little stuff to keep us from getting married and all of that. And I told him, I had canceled the plans and everything. I said, I'm not marrying you under this circumstance. And he said, no, I love you. I wouldn't want to marry you and everything. And he said, he found out I had started canceling and everything. He was like, I want to marry you. But it was like that was the interference, his mother. And like she was trying to tell us how to have a wedding, what not to do. We shouldn't have this wedding. We should just go get married and just. I said, I'm having a wedding. And so he was sitting there not responding. I'm like, and I looked at him, ain't you gonna say something about? Ain't you gonna say something about? And I said, and his sister looked at me. Me and his sister got along. His sister lived in Houston and she was up visiting. And so she looked, she was like, oh Lord. She knew I was like, and I looked at him, I was like, oh no. She knew her mama had said something wrong. His mama, their mama had said something wrong. I gave him that look. I said, I'm ready to go. I said, no. I told her, I said, no, we're going to do it the way I want to do it. And we're going to have this wedding. And I told him, I'm ready to go. And so we left us. But me and his mom, we was always at it. But, so she was the main interference and he could not stand up against his mom. And it was no way I could maintain a relationship with him while she was in control. So, no, that was not gonna fly with me and everything. So that's basically it. So yeah, drama does happen, but it happens in different situations and different circumstances with different people. And so it's what you can tolerate. But like with me, I'm like a man. If you're gonna stand with me, you're gonna stand with me. You're not gonna let your mama influence you. You respect your mom, but yet still you gotta be able to speak up to your mom and say, hey, I'm married now, and you're supposed to leave your wife and leave your mother and cleave to your wife. And that was me. And so he was willing to cleave to me, and so he had to leave me. That's basically it, you know. So